morning after.
I mean, it looks like a war zone. It looks like, I don't even have the words to explain it.
The visible scars on a city following a night of unrest, looters leaving businesses in shambles, violence erupting in the wake of a peaceful protest.
These people set a trap, and our community fell in it.
The strong message from Rochester's mayor, shaken but still standing.
The big one in the orange grabbed my shirt and spun me in.
A woman beaten in front of her own home shares her emotional account with us. And United Front.
We need a crew to head to the 700 block on West Main and Jefferson, please.
Through all the destruction, signs of hope. The diverse crowd of hundreds who grabbed brooms and gloves to clean up a city in need. A state of emergency as we come on the air countywide is still in effect for the county and the city of Rochester for a second night in a row. A curfew is set for 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. for Monroe County and 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. for the city of Rochester. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alexis Arnold. Thanks for joining us. Dan Schrack is on assignment. At least 200 state troopers have been called in to help support local police agencies, as well as the National Guard on standby. This as groups were beginning to gather downtown. We were hearing from our crews on the scene. We have live team coverage tonight. Jenny Ryan, Andrew Banis, and Tanner Jubenville are standing by. But we begin with 13 Wham's Dan Schrack at the Liberty Pole. Dan, what are you seeing down there now?
Well, Alexis, there are very few people actually left behind me at the Liberty Pole, but all day this protest has been largely peaceful, just a message of hope and unity coming from everyone involved. It started with just about 3 people earlier today and rapidly grew to around 75 people simply by word of mouth. This afternoon, ralliers were chanting and drivers were honking their horns in support. By the end, the group Rise Up Rochester was preaching the message of peace and unity. One of the organizers says she's disappointed that yesterday's message was muddied by a select group of people.
I hear that a lot of the violence came after the peaceful protests, and unfortunately it seemed to be more anarchist, and it seemed to be just about chaos. But at the same time, riot is the language of the unheard. We're just tired of being tired.
Now, earlier today, when this protest first started, about 10 RPD cars were parked right across the street here at Parcel 5. They left very early on, and with the exception of just 1 or 2 driving by periodically throughout the day, Rochester police left these ralliers alone. In Rochester, Dan Schrack, 13 Wham News.
Dan, thank you. We continue to stress that the destruction and looting followed a peaceful march earlier in the day yesterday. There are concerns that many of the people involved in last night's violent protests were from outside the area. Rochester's leaders say anarchists were responsible for the violence, but also say some in the community played a part, and that took away from the true meaning of the gathering.
These people set a trap, and our community fell in it. And last night, it was our community that destroyed our neighborhoods.
Rochester's police chief says so far there were 13 arrests last night, with more expected. Chief LaRon Singletary says it's unclear whether any officers were hurt in Saturday's series of events. Perhaps one of the most disturbing images from last night is that of a young woman and her husband being brutally beaten outside their Rochester apartment. Today, 13 Wham's Jenny Ryan followed up to see how they're doing.
Oh, Alexis, I, like so many people, could not shake the images of what I saw here last night. So this morning, we returned to find that woman and her husband, and we were not alone.
Denise Brooks came from Palmyra with flowers and a card for a woman she'd never met. The woman brutally beaten in this very spot.
It was just heartbreaking. So I just wanted to do something.
Shelly Gonzalez came to this spot too. She does know the woman beaten. Shelly is her mom.
I'm here today. I drove in from Livingston County this morning because I just want to make sure she's okay.
Moments later, Shelley got the word she'd been desperate to hear, a text from her daughter.
Hey, Mama, sorry, we're doing okay.
And then Shelley got to see it for herself. Daughter Maddie on FaceTime.
I did have a slight concussion. My ears were ringing for a long time afterwards, and I have a huge bruise on the side of me.
Maddie says her husband Brett took the brunt of it, injuring his hand when he tried to save her. Maddie says this began when she tried to stop a group of looters at a store below their apartment.
I was definitely there interrupting, something that they wanted to do. And I jumped up. I said, get out of here, get the out of my house now. And, they came at me. The big one in the orange grabbed my shirt and spun me, and then it all got crazy. That 2x4, man, oh my God, I can't believe how sorry.
Maddie says after she escaped her attackers, 3 other groups returned to the scene, one with a gas can. She and her husband fled in the middle of the night, no longer feeling safe.
Do you have any regrets about jumping in, Maddie?
No, I did what was right by standing up.
I told them you were fierce.
Yes, indeed, she is fierce, but admittedly afraid to stay here in her apartment tonight. She and her husband are staying with friends. This while Rochester police search for the 6 or 7 men who brutally attacked them during one violent night in Rochester. Alexis?
All right, Jenny, thank you. That video tough to watch. Meanwhile, businesses along Monroe Avenue are boarding up their windows in case more looting happens tonight. Store owners tell us Metro PCS was looted last night, so surrounding stores are preparing for the worst. The owners of Aaron's Alley, a gift shop on Monroe Avenue, says she's grateful nothing happened to her store, but she'd rather be safe than sorry.
Yep, with all the chaos directly on Monroe Avenue last night, coming in today, seeing that some of the other merchants had been hit, as well as some merchants have just chosen to board up, continuing to see that they're doing that down, it just seems to make sense. Better to be safe than sorry. I hope that all is well. I know that we're bringing in a lot of reinforcements, and I know that it's good people in our community, but it only takes a couple people to cause a lot of chaos. And so we figured let's just be safe, board it up, and then we have less to clean up tomorrow if something happens.
Well, many Rochester business owners are waking up to find their shops heavily damaged and products stolen. 13 WHAM's Tanner Jubenville followed the damage throughout the night and this morning. He joins us now with more on the challenges these business owners face.
Alexis, so many storefronts we saw, particularly in the areas of Dewey Avenue, Lake Avenue, as well as North Goodman Street, had their storefronts damaged, many doors and windows shattered. Also, though, like this Family Dollar you see here behind me on Dewey Avenue, aside from having all of its windows and doors smashed in overnight, much of the store was ransacked. There was food, clothes everywhere, items demolished, leaving a big mess for those employees here.
I feel like crying. I honestly feel like crying because this is just sad.
This is what Shaquila Mosley found this morning when she got to work. Destruction inside and out of the Family Dollar store on Dewey Avenue.
Everything was damaged. Windows broken. Walked inside the store. They ransacked the whole store. Everything. Broke everything. They stole everything pretty much. I just don't understand. I really don't.
Several other stores around the city were also gutted overnight by groups of people breaking in. Up the road from the Family Dollar, Dijun's Wine and Liquor had been raided. The owner says damage is so extensive, he's closing up shop after 60 years in business. Around the city, other shops were also heavily damaged. Doors and windows smashed in, and merchandise cleared out, like in this Rainbow clothing store on Lake Avenue.
What I'm doing this morning is giving back to my community. This is uncalled for. We live here. Who wants to drive around and see just trash scattered from a business?
Neighbors like David Cruz immediately pitching in to clean up, bringing along bags and gloves for others to help. Many others following his lead, helping clean up their neighborhood store this morning.
We got to give back, too. That's why I'm out here. I said, let's stop. Let's start cleaning up. This city don't deserve to look like this.
Now, this Family Dollar appears to have already had its windows and front doors repaired, although it is not open yet. But we did talk to some business owners last night who had their windows shattered. Even if they weren't ransacked, they were saying they were afraid to leave their storefronts last night or even tonight because they were worried that people might come back and try to steal something. For now, we are live in Rochester. Tanner Jubinville, 13 WHAM News.
Tanner, thank you. Well, neighbors watched in horror last night as riots destroyed buildings and property across the city. Today, they woke up determined to help. And as 13 WHAM's Andrew Banis explains, after a night of chaos came a day filled with hope.
Yeah, Alexis, the message from city officials today was simple. If you want to help with these cleanup efforts, meet here at the Frontier Field parking lot at 10 a.m. By 10:15, there were hundreds here, all of them ready to do whatever was needed. As the sun rose over a damaged city, neighbors tried to make sense of the mess left behind.
I just couldn't believe it, I think. I needed to see it with my own eyes.
Charred remains of torched vehicles, shattered glass and debris in every direction, sadness and disbelief in the air, and then this.
We thought they deserved them. They needed them more than we did.
Flowers left outside of Villa, a popular store on Main Street that was looted overnight. Then at Frontier Field came a call to action.
We need a crew to head to the 700 block on West Main and Jefferson, please.
Hundreds showing up to join in the cleanup efforts.
This is really important, and Rochester is still our home. It's still a really beautiful city, and we just want to get it back to its beautiful self.
Brooms, rakes, gloves, and garbage bags, not weapons. Instead, they're tools of hope and peace.
It's a very beautiful thing seeing everybody here, just a diverse pool of people coming to help.
Volunteers of all backgrounds, from near and far, split into groups and sent to every corner of the city that needed a helping hand.
What happened last night turned something beautiful into something reckless.
A common goal to show that even after a tragic night, Rochester is still strong.
Everyone's here working together, and I think this is absolutely beautiful.
And still united.
We're going to help clean up, rebuild our city, make sure it's good to go.
And Alexis, an organizer at today's event, tells me that over 3,000 people were here to help with those cleanup efforts. For now, reporting live in Rochester, Andrew Banis, 13 WHAM News.
Right, Andrew, thank you. We hear so many messages from people on social media into the newsroom that they want to see positive images and messages of hope. Well, there you go. We know what our city's about, and as soon as we get those positive images, we'll pass that along to you. Well, our coverage continues through the evening. Follow us right here on 13 WHAM and Fox Rochester, 13wham.com, and social media. Coming up next.